Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video guys, I'm going to be showing you user input service in Roblox Studio, so let's get right into it. So what user input service is it's like any other service, so user input service, and what it's used for is getting the input of the player you know, and capture the different types of input on all devices. So the primary usage of user input service is to detect what device the player is on, which leads to so that your game can cooperate with all devices basically. So that's a big use for user input service. So you can make all devices compatible. Your Roblox game all compatible, not just on PC. So yeah, let's get into it. Next thing, so you need to get your user input service, just regular game get service user input service. So you say user input service, and we're first going to go over input began and input ended. So we have input began, it's an event, it acts as any other event in Roblox, and is a function. Now you guys can't see this, so I'm going to make it so you can see it. Right here, it says input object, and game process event. So what this is saying, the input is just the input that was given to the event. So you just want to say input here, comma, and then the game processed event. So what the game processed event is this is a boolean, so true or false. Now what this is, so basically when you have input using user input service, let's say I press E on my keyboard, the input began, and it also returns the input, which would be the keycode.e. So that would be my input. And if I was typing in chat, the game processed event would be true. So what this is checking for is if you are typing in the chat. If I wasn't typing in the chat and I was actually, let's say I want to spawn a hoverboard by pressing Q, and I need to check to see if, if the game processed event is false. So false means you are not typing in chat. True means you are. So for my example, I don't want the player to be typing in chat. So to avoid this, I'm going to say if game processed event, you can say then return end, but I'm just going to say, to make more sense, equals to true, which means it's, false. We do not want it to be typing in chat. The false, then, true, then return end. Because if it is true, then we want to stop the script. So this is checking if we are typing in chat, then just stop, okay? Just stop the script. Now we have input. We can say if input is equal to enum, and there's something like Keycode. So Keycode houses like everything on your keyboard. So make sure you guys can see it. So Keycode dot, and you have all this, like this stuff on your keyboard. Now when we get to, let's see, what is user input type, there's also user input type, and when you press dot, you can check if it was a touch, so something that's not on a keyboard, like a touch, like on a mobile device. Again, keyboard. So like you can check if it's a mobile device input or keyboard or gyroscope, which let me research that more. So guys, what I think gyro means is the movement of the device. Now I do have to tell you guys one thing. You cannot use, which I've been doing wrong, you cannot use user input service on the server because you need to get it on the client, because on the client you can access the client's movement. So you want to use a local script. I'm sorry about that. I kind of forgot to put that in there. But you want to use this in a client script. Alright, so we can detect our input game processed event. Now, there's another thing, which is if input, if input is equal to enum.userInputType, and at the bottom, there's gamepad 1, 2, and 3. All these gamepad things are console related. So like gamepad 1, all these are console related, so you can detect the console input, text input into a text box, everything. You can detect so much. Like, look at all this. You can detect so much stuff using user input service. That's why it is so powerful. But for now, I'm going to say enum.keycode. Let's say q. Okay, so if our input, what this is checking, if input is equal to q, and I press the q button. Okay, so what I'm then going to say is input started with, I think if I just say with dot input, and then I play the game, output, and q. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, guys, so what you have to say is, after input, you have to say dot keycode. Or if you are not checking for keycode, you would say input dot user input type. Sorry about that little mistake, guys. I forgot to put that there. But yeah, so you have to put keycode. And I'm going to put back to Q because I was just testing all the different ones. So input began for Q. Yeah. And then, so when we play the game and open up the output, we press, like, I'm moving around, see all this input. But when I press Q, it says input began for Q. Now let's get into input ended. So user input service dot input ended. Connect function. This returns the input as well in the game processed event. And you can just kind of copy stuff over a little bit. So put that there. And we're going to check if the key code was that. But and this time we're going to put input ended for Q. So let's play the game. Okay, so again, input. Now when I press down Q, I'm just gonna keep holding it down. I'm not gonna release. So when I press down Q, it says input began for Q. But I'm still holding it down. But when I release, it says input ended for Q. So this returns what key you just pressed or whatever, something like that. And input ended returns the key that was just released. When the input ended. So those are input began, input ended. So let's get into keyboard enabled and all the other ones. This is where you can detect the device the player is on. So user input, well, you can just say if user input service dot, you can't see it, dot, there's keyboard enabled, mouse enabled, touch enabled, gamepad enabled, and I'm pretty sure there's another one, VR enabled. Yep, all of these, so you can detect if the player is using VR, a controller, if they are using a mouse and keyboard, if they are just on a phone. So let's say I'm trying to detect if a player is on a phone, or let's say if user input service dot touch enabled, but just for other security checks, and not user input service dot keyboard enabled, and not user input service dot mouse enabled, then because just to make sure that they are on mobile. Okay, then we're going to print on mobile, but when I run the game, obviously it's not going to say that. So what I'm going to do is go to the device emulator. I'm just going to go to iPhone 14, play the game, and it should say iPhone, or not iPhone, and then it says on mobile. Pretty sure it'll say the same thing for iPad, so, and it says on mobile. There you guys go. And same thing for dot gamepad enabled. You could also add on to this and say not user input service dot such enabled. But just to let you guys know, some people on console have keyboard and mouse enabled, so like they have it plugged into their Xbox and stuff. So it might not be a good idea to include that, because even when I played on my Xbox, I had a keyboard and mouse onto it. So go to the device, iPhone X, I didn't change that, but I can see it doesn't print anything, so I need to change this to on console. Let's just try out for the random tablet. Doesn't work. Switch over to the Xbox or PS4, play the game, and I don't really know what that is. I don't know. Wait, hold on. Okay, guys, I don't really know what that was, but I now have a Xbox One controller connected. So when I play the game, it says on console. That is because I have a controller connected. Alright, guys, so I'm just gonna take a look at all these other things with you guys. So, like, take a look at this. So if we say user input service, and we just put a dot, and we just go down through everything. Look at the amount of things that could be useful. Just look at everything, and device gravity change. I'm pretty sure like what that does is like it detects when a device is like moving around or something. It's insane what you can do, because you can check to see when the mouse is moving, and this is like changing the gravity. It's insane what you can do with this, and it has all these things. Rotation change, everything. You can do so much with user input service, and like some of the events, like when the player wants to jump for the character, touch start, child removed, even the touch motions on a mobile device, like pinch, moved, touch, like it's insane the amount of detail that you can have in things like user input service, like touch pan, when user drags at least one finger, touch tap when a tap, it is just insane the amount of things that are in user input service, and is really useful. Now, what I just showed you guys is the bare minimum of user input service and what you can do with it. I recommend you guys go read more on it. This is a bare minimum tutorial that can help you get you guys started. But yeah, guys, that was today's tutorial. If you guys did learn something from this video, or you guys just enjoyed it, please hit the like button and the subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.